The iconic nameplate of the 718 has over 60 years of race history. Today, Porsche of Clearwater has given us the 2022 Porsche 718 Cayman T in your guards red. New, a track-worthy GT4 RS that has the flat six that's derived from the 911, nearly 500 horsepower, standard Carrera S wheels. The first launch was back in 2005 for 2006 model for the Cayman. We reintroduced that nameplate back in 2016 inside your GT steering wheel and gear lever with the race tech. The fun to drive sports car goes after rivals like your Audi TTS, your Toyota GR Super, your Chevrolet Corvette. But which one is going to have all the dynamics? It's not track worthy, but it has a good exhaust note. Still a fun, practical vehicle. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm gonna go over all the specs and details, starting now. The new Porsche 718 Cayman definitely sets the appearance, especially with this red. I do like how it flares out, and we got the black aesthetics that's going to go down the side trim with the 718 Cayman T badging that goes into your take. That's with the gloss black. Going into the rear, you're going to get the clear tail lamps that brush into the adjustable spoiler. The badging of the 718 Cayman T comes back into play with your dual exhaust outlets. That's in the smoke chrome. Up in the front, ground clearance at 3.6 inches, which is going to be the least in class. So on this lower bid, you're gonna have to be careful when you're going over speed bumps, but still a practical daily driven vehicle. Bi-Xenon headlamps in black with 4-point LED daytime runnings. Because this is a mid-engine, you're going to have cargo that's going to be in the front, which is a nice attribute. So going inside to open that is going to give us an additional 5.2 cubic feet of storage is going to be in the front. If I can open it, there we go. Which makes it easier for large bags because lower opposed to the rear, which you'll see in just a second. And it's also very soft to close. You just set it, push it down. That's what I like about Porsche. Very easy, classy, and that's what you need. Optional Porsche active suspension or your PASM, Porsche torque vectoring, 20-inch Carrera S alloy wheels with the titanium gray paint finish. 4 pistons is going to be up front with the aluminum monotube fixed calipers. That's 330 millimeters. In the rear, it's going to be 299. They're drilled. It's ready for raw performance, even though the 0 to 60 numbers don't necessarily suggest it. If you do that optional Porsche active suspension management, that's going to lower it about 0.8 inches or 20 millimeters, so it's going to be more of a firm ride. If you get the manual like this one, I probably would recommend it. When you are comparing it to the rivals, this one is going to be the smallest except the Audi TTS. The length at 172.4 inches, a wheelbase 97.4 inches. Lightweight spring strut suspension with front and rear stabilizers, enhanced Porsche stability management, PSM. The history of the name code dates back to 1946 with the 356. 5 years later, goes to the 550 Spider. Another 4 years forward, the 718 was born. The 718 RS in the winter of 1956 was ready for the 57 racing season, featuring a lightweight tubular space frame construction, better brakes, rework front suspension, lightweight under 1,175 pounds, and a mid-engine. The first big win was in March 1958 at the 12-hour of Sebring. The flat 4 race cars kept up with the much bigger performance competitors. And that's why it's such an iconic brand. LED tail lamps. I wish on the lower trim this was gloss black because it'd give more of a dynamic hue to it. Going inside to an additional 9.7 cubic feet. The good thing about this is you could fit a couple carry-ons and you have enough little area there on the top that you could fit another back. We have the extended range, which gives us 16.9 gallons, making this more than just a weekend treat. This is something that could be daily driven, plus a fun to drive, turbocharged with 300 horsepower out of this little thing. Let's start it up so we can hear that exhaust note. Now the exhaust note that comes out of the Porsche 718 Cayman T is not necessarily your traditional exhaust that comes out. But I do like the note that it gives because it kind of takes us back to the heritage of Porsche, and it backs the performance with a 2.0 liter turbocharged boxer 4-cylinder engine, producing 300 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to a 6-speed manual transmission with short shifts, achieving 20 to 26 mpgs. That's good for a 0 to 60 at around 4.9 seconds. With the PDK and your Sport Chrono package, it could go as low as 4.5 seconds. Quarter mile at 13.5 seconds, but the top speed 170 miles per hour. Yes, this is not going to be the fastest in the dynamics. However, the fun to drive spirit, which you're going to see in the drive, makes up for the slower numbers. And if you're looking to get some options, you really don't want to do the base, you want to do the T, so you can get those premium features in the vehicle and make this one stand out from the bunch. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2022 Porsche 718 Cayman T as we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test run. Entering inside the Porsche 718 Cayman T. Headroom is going to be great for somebody that's 6'3". The same thing with leg room. They do an excellent job in giving you substantial amount of space. When you're comparing it to the rivals like the Chevy Corvette, it's going to be a little bit more tight. Whereas this one, because it's more of a bubble for the roof, it just makes it super easy. 718T interior package is what we're getting. You got the leather interior with black and guards red with sports tech seating. We have two-way power adjustment. The rest is manual. And because this is a 718, I'm going to let a few things slide because the price point that you're at with the T is a little bit above the base and you get some more bling for your money. And that's going to start off on the dash. We got the clock in the center. The air vents are going to be surrounded with the silver, and I like how they got the air vents on the top because it really does stress a lot of performance. And something that I would add on the gear lever, they have added the leather steering column casing, which really gives a more sporty attribute, especially because we got the GT Sport steering wheel and your manual gear lever in the Race Tech sports style pedals. It is pretty much exactly what you would really want. Dual climate control settings. Now on the flip side, 7-inch infotainment. We don't have the navigation, but when you click into it, you can see for your car settings, and it is touch to drive, which is an option overseas, so at least we get that functionality that it is touch. Plus, we got the Bose upgraded sound system, which is something that I would definitely recommend. Cup holders is going to be on the side here. The nice thing is 16.9 ounce can fit snug. You can adjust it, and you can probably fit about a 20 ounce. And two of them, even if the passenger's sitting, it's not an eyesore, it's out of their way, and it keeps that heritage of Porsche cleaning up this center console. We have the sports exhaust right here. You have an area where you can put your key fob. It's going to be more firm to ride for your elbows, but this is a sports car. Open up inside, and enough storage you can put a larger cell phone with a USB port, and a USB is going to be in the glove box. So you're taken care of with your charging ports. Door panel is going to be harder materials. Guards red contrast stitching goes underneath. One touch up and down for all your windows with two storage tiers, one that opens up. It's a pretty decent sized pocket, and then the other one, again, pretty much some larger cell phones can fit. You're not really going to be putting a lot of stuff in here. You do have two cargos, so one in the front and one in the rear, pretty much taken care of with all that. So I mean, sports car, everyday use, that's what we're about to see. Taking the 2022 Porsche 718 Cayman T out for our test run. 300 horsepower out of this turbo boxer 4 engine. 2.0 liter, 280 pound-feet of torque, so you're gonna have quite the power that you need, and that's what we're going to show you. Plus it's an everyday. So we're going to start off, just show you a little bit here. Noisy cabin, you expect it. It's a little bit lower to the ground. Speed capabilities, you can do it. It's a steering wheel with the Alcantara on it. It definitely makes it easy for grip. For the long-term use, it's gonna maybe wear a little bit more so, but I do like the sporty flair that it gives, especially on the gear lever as well. As for the width of the vehicle, it does feel a bit wide because we sit a bit low. So I do like the performance feel that I get out of it. And if I really need to go, I mean, we can push the thing and get this thing up to speed. So we got it in Sports Plus. We got the active exhaust. We're gonna check the turn radius right now. Gets about a lane in it, lane-ish. Here we go. Now, as for dynamics, the vehicle is spot on. You get a good throaty exhaust note. Getting it up on the interstate, now if you want it to be quiet, turn it on quiet. Take that active exhaust note off. Now you're gonna just hear some road noise. It is a little bit more noisy, but you sit down lower to the ground. Comparing it to the Audi TTS, it's about, I would say that's gonna be a little bit more quiet. The RS, they are no longer doing for the next year, for 2023, unfortunately. So that was one of my favorites. But as for a vehicle that gets performance, fun to drive, this has the dynamics for fun to drive. It's not going to be blown away fast, and don't expect that because it's going to be in the higher 4 seconds unless you do the PDK with the Chronos package. We have the Chronos package, but manual, you're basically around 4.9 seconds according to Porsche. As for comparing it to the Corvette, that one's night and day better horsepower. Here we go. The only downfall I note is when you get to about 3 RPM, that's really when it starts actually driving. Otherwise, it feels like it's a little bit slow. So if you're at 3 RPM, give it some go. Now the thing's ready to rock and roll, livens up. Brakes, you can stop on a dime. Safe vehicles in the sense of all-around dynamics. So I do like the fact that you have that gas consumption 20 to 26. I mean, everyday vehicle. Now there is 3 things I like, 3 things that I dislike. Is anything more than that, I'll be buying this vehicle. The 3 things that I like about the vehicle is how they keep the iconic styling. And when this vehicle was introduced back in 2005, this was a vehicle that was faster than a 911. So it just shows you how much more performance you get. The short shifts make it easy as well, so you don't really have any problems with that. The second thing that I like about it is the seats are comfortable. Even though the suspension can be tuned to be more sport derived, it stays planted and comfortable. These are 20-inch wheels. The last thing that I like, the safety. Your blind spot monitoring is right here, which makes it so much easier. I don't even have to look at the side view mirrors. This vehicle isn't even that long, and yet I can see every single thing. There's really no blind spots at all with this. 3 things that I dislike about the vehicle is it's gonna be slower when you're comparing it to dynamics, and at the 80,000-ish price point, you're really expecting it to be a little bit more playful than it is. Yes, it does tick nearly every box you need for a performance and a daily use. However, I can see somebody saying, you know what, I just want a little bit more power than what it has. I mean by that, I mean, look at this. Is the performance there? Yes. It just could be a little bit more playful and I mean, obviously that's why you got to work up the tiers. The second thing that I dislike about the vehicle, this 7-inch infotainment screen. If it's great, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely spot on for the way the dash is. It just, because you come from Audi, I would like to see a little bit more technology. Porsche is like 4 to 5 years behind on their technology, and it's sad because when you go into Audi, they're so advanced that even vehicles that are coming out in today's time, meaning like a year or two from now, they're catching up with Audi. Why can't we have that in Porsche? The last thing that I dislike about the vehicle is when you are going for your cargo in the back. So the rear cargo, it has the most, don't get me wrong. I just wish it was a little bit more deep. I get it, it's a mid-engine, so you have to kind of do a give and take. However, it would still be nice if they had maybe not so much of a lip to throw your cargo or your bags in, because what happens ultimately is you're going to end up scratching the trunk or the bumper area if you don't pay attention. But I mean, look at this. It's a fun to drive car. Manual, can't go wrong. For seeing through the front windscreen, you can do it really well. I do like how the hood proportions is, because it flares up so you can tell where your front bumpers is, because the ground clearance 3.6 inches. So you have to be cautious when you get this vehicle, because going over speed humps, it will scrape the bottom. Fun to drive car, ticks all the boxes that you need. Everyday use, you have it as well. I like to thank Porsche of Clearwater for giving us this 2022 Porsche 718 Cayman T for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, click the videos that's coming up next, that subscribe button. Check out the details, merchandise, website, everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.